Hello everyone, how's it going? As you can see behind me, lots of books are missing, lots of space now. This will be the biggest book unhaul I will be doing because I'm essentially getting rid of all of my books. Okay, that's a little lie. I'm not getting rid of every single book, but I am getting rid of almost every single book that I have either lost interest in, read and loved, but don't see myself rereading, or just books that I don't feel like keeping anymore. So I promised myself, I swore to myself, I will never, ever move 30 boxes of books ever again. For the sake of my sanity, for my mental health, for my just emotional well-being in general, I can't move 30 boxes of books anymore. Twice was enough. I haven't really been reading a lot of the books that I've owned. I haven't really been even glancing at my shelves in the first place, and so I'm doing Marie Kondo style, getting rid of every single book that does not bring me joy. So literally after I'm done filming this video, all of these books are all going to be gone. I'm going to be donating and giving a lot of these books to like little libraries and used bookstores, so goodbye. So a lot of these books are basically all of them are fiction. A lot of them, majority of them, are YA. This behind me right here was the YA shelf, and I've kept pretty much the sort of like core YA books I've either really wanted to read or I have read and I really liked. And for fantasy, I've actually kept the majority of the fantasy books because A, still want to read them, and B, a lot of the fantasy books that I've read, I really loved. I'm sort of like a fantasy reader at its core. And the other shelf to my left, I'll show you guys in a bit, are mostly thrillers. And I've also gotten a lot of those thriller books as well because just mainly the thriller books I have read and didn't really like. I don't really reread thrillers. For me, thrillers are sort of like a one and done type of deal. But anyways, behind this camera, I have all of the books I want to get rid of on the table over there. And oh my god, it's a lot. So we're just gonna comb through this really quickly. I don't think I will be showing you guys every single book that I'll be getting rid of because we will be here for ages. But before that, so yeah, this is the thriller shelf right over here. And a lot of that is gone. So here are all the books I am getting rid of. I don't even want to disrupt this stack, even though I sort of like compile them in their own specific genre. How the fuck do I do this? Okay, here we go. Also, please ignore everything else going on in the background. It's because since we are moving, everything is displaced right now. So I originally was going to show you guys like, oh, I'm gonna do YA, then thriller, then fantasy. But you know what? Such is my life. This is just gonna be a conglomerate mess of just whatever, okay? Vibes. All right, we're just gonna leave this little guy right here. But first stack, she's a YA stack. It's gonna be fantasy. I really don't want to go over every single book that's on here, so I'm just gonna flip it over and show you guys because I'm going to cheat a little bit. Because notably, these are the books that I have never touched, never read, and I have kept for God knows how long. Pretty much ever since I started, I think, BookTube in general. Here is the first stack. Honestly, it's a mix of everything. Fantasy, thriller, contemporary romance in here. This was like a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and I remember getting this at like a discount at Barnes & Noble. Oh, I actually think I did pick this one up, but never finished it. You can even see the bookmark where I left it off. Wow. 33 pages in. I know that these books were super popular, but I just never finished and picked these one up. Same with these ones as well. Just mostly fantasy and some mystery thrillers right over here. So I actually have a lot of Jennifer Lynn Barnes books. She writes a lot of really fun ones. I picked these one up, but never finished them. This one I've never read, so I actually really did enjoy the first initial books. However, my interest in them has sort of waned. They're really good, they're really fun. I know that a lot of people have really loved them, and that these books, this trilogy, this series in particular, got her books super popular. I read the Naturals and the Fixer series, and those books are gonna stay on my shelves. We have some of Marie Lu's books. I don't know what happened to the other one, Warcross, but I'm also getting rid of that one as well. Goodbye to Children of Blood and Bone and Children of Virtue and Vengeance. I tried so many times to read the first book, and I just never managed to get like past like 100 pages or so. I don't even think the third book is even out yet, and it's been like at least 3 years or so. This stack right over here, we have a lot of some thriller, mystery, and contemporary romance as well. Okay, that's, oh fuck, it's not gonna work. So these are all Kara Thomas's books, and honestly, I really enjoy them. But I think now, particularly the thriller genre in general, since the readability is so low for me, I feel like going to the library or getting them at a discounted rate, like at a used bookstore or something, might be more worth it to me. But these are solid YA thrillers. Harry Thomas's books, I think, are one of the most prolific and solid YA thriller books out there. So if you're looking for a recommendation in the YA genre, here they are. The Iron Trial, Lost Interest, another thriller, some more romance, and some more romance, adult contemporary romance, I think. When I first started my channel, one of the most popular genres of the books that I actually owned was contemporary romance, because I feel like at the time that's what everyone was reading, and I wanted to get on the hype train. Don't get me wrong, I actually enjoyed a lot of the contemporary romances that I read. I mean, you'll see in this pile as well, there's some nostalgic ones that I really enjoyed. Okay, so over here we have a few arcs that I am going to give away to insert in little libraries, because you can't sell arcs, obviously. So we have a couple thrillers. Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I enjoyed this one, but I don't see myself rereading it or going back to it anytime soon. And we also have this lovely packaged Frankly in Love by David Yoon. Okay, next up, we have a mix of contemporary romance as well as fantasy. Oh my gosh, it's so funny to me because a lot of these books, particularly this series in general, right over here, Vendetta, just reminds me of the buddy reads that I had with a lot of my other booktube friends. And a lot of those people actually don't make videos anymore, which is so sad, and I miss them. But this was just a different time in my life, and just looking back at it, I can remember what I read, what we talked about, and it's just that sentimental, nostalgic feeling. But life moves on. I always meant to pick this up and read it during the holiday season, but I just never got around to it. Also the same for this one. For these ones, I actually really enjoyed the series overall. I thought they were a whole lot of fun, and it was really entertaining. However, I don't see myself rereading this trilogy, but really enjoyed it. Next up, we have some YA Emily Henry. I know that Emily Henry has found a really popular audience within the adult romance category, but I just never managed to pick up and read her YA books. Oh my god, this one I kept for a sentimental value because this was about a girl who moves to LA and has to solve this murder mystery in which she has to evade a serial killer with the help of a supernatural ghost. It was a whole lot of fun, underrated, and I had a blast. Speaking of nostalgia, here they are. We have To All the Boys I Loved Before, P.S. I Still Love You and Always and Forever, Laura Jean. I mean, I remember the chokehold these books had on BookTube back in the day. I just remember reading these back when I was still in college, and oh man, memories. I remember reading these when I was taking the bus home from my classes, and also being so excited when the last and final book came out, because I feel like this was originally a duology, but the last book turned it into a trilogy. All right, next up, we have some more contemporary fiction and thrillers as well. Nothing really that notable in this stack. I know that a lot of people really love this one. I really enjoyed these books. I really did. They were super fun and just overall really bloody good time. And I think they're making a movie out of the first book, with the third book also coming out as well, making this series into a trilogy, which is crazy to me. The first book was a hit. The second book, I fell into the second syndrome horror trope. Ooh, I know this one was also really popular with BookTube as well. Sadie. I never finished this. I think I listened to this book part way on audiobook. I know that a lot of people have really loved this book in general. I remember this one. This one had a lot of good reviews, but I just never picked it up, and it's been sitting on my shelf for the past 5 years, and so I just literally the other day just skipped to the end and just read what happened. Next we have two books that a lot of people on BookTube also love. We have Wilder Girls and Burn Our Bodies Down. Read this one, was super disappointed. Next up, this entire pile, YA fantasy and thrillers as well. Getting rid of this one because I read this and did not enjoy it. Here's Warcross. Oh my gosh, I remember reading this one. This one had the most interesting cover right here. I really did not like sort of where the story went with the characters, and that's all I can tell you because I don't remember much of the plot, but there it is. These ones right here. I only managed to read and finish the first book. I think I gave this 4 or 5 stars. And since then, I have not picked up the sequel or the last book in this, I want to say, trilogy. Heard really good things. Just overall, don't see myself going back into this world. Okay, I know that this next pile is going to hurt a lot of you guys, but it is what it is. So, Here it is. We have a lot of some other YA fantasy books. We have some Leigh Bardugo, Furyborn, and the Truth Witch series. So unfortunately, I'm getting rid of the Shadow and Bone trilogy because I don't see myself going back into this world pretty much ever again. And I want to, hand these to someone who will and who will love and cherish these books. I only read this series once, and I know that this series in general has so many people in the chokehold. I mean, Some of the stands out there are frightening. While I did enjoy the show, it was just a really simple enjoyment overall. Like, I wasn't like a huge hardcore fan as a lot of you guys were. Yeah, I remember purchasing this one, King of Scars, man. Oh my gosh. This was, wow. Okay, wow, actually. I even got spoiled for this, so. Oh my gosh, I remember waiting in line at Book Expo 1 year in New York for an advanced reader's copy of this particular novella. For how short it is, have never picked it up ever. It's just been rotting on my shelves. I know that this one will even hurt a lot of you guys even more, but Six of Crows duology. They both have the colored sprayed edges as well. Oh my gosh, should I get rid of these? I don't know. And it's signed? Oh my god, it's signed, you guys. My dead name before I came out to Elias. Holy shit. I actually remember going to Lee in line at the book event for the Crooked Kingdom. Wait a second. Okay, making sure that I didn't get the original trilogy signed as well. But yeah, these were signed and personalized, and I still have not yet, to this day, ever gone back and finished the second book in the duology. I got heavily spoiled for this, by the way, as well. Which is my fault because this book has been out for so long, but still, I've never finished this and I've read this once, and that's all there is to that, so goodbye. And then we have the Truth Witch, I want to say series. I do remember reading the first 2 books. I think I DNF'd the second one. Next up, we have, oh my gosh, a bunch of fantasy books. I'm not even trying to lift this pile up. So I actually already own the 3rd book in the Wheel of Time. I don't know why I have 2 copies. So this is the special edition of Twilight where the genders are swapped for the story. So this is called Life and Death. And wait, let me see. Oh yeah, right here. When Beaufort Swan, oh my god, what a name, moves to the gloomy town of Forks and meets the mysterious, alluring Edith Cullen, his life takes a thrilling and terrifying turn. This is such a nostalgic old YA fantasy book that I read such a long time ago. Unfortunately, I hate these covers so much. I used to adore and love every single cover in this trilogy, but since then, I can't stand it. And I also only read the first, I want to say 2 books in this trilogy. So this one was just really boring and one of the worst books I've ever read of last year. Next, we have just a bunch of thrillers. Fuck, okay, that was not a good idea. A lot of these thrillers I lost interest in. Like this was part of like a detective formula series or something like that. Ooh, I know that a lot of people really loved If We Were Villains, and I did not. I thought this was a poor rendition compared to The Secret History by Donna Tartt. So we have this trilogy by Jane Harper. I enjoyed the first book, I want to say. It was The Dry. It takes place in Australia. Last but not least, in this pile, we have a bunch of Ruth Ware books. I don't know, almost every single Ruth Ware thriller that I have read have been mid, to say the least, for me personally. I think the only book I enjoyed in her list of books is The Death of Mrs. Westaway. Okay, next up we have this tall pile of just paperbacks. I remember reading this one. This is the edition before it got traditionally published. I think it got picked up and it got published through, oh, I forgot one of the imprints. And they made a show about this as well, a movie, Big Little Lies. I remember reading this and thoroughly enjoying it. This trilogy by Rachel Caine, Stillhouse Lake. Read the first book of the Butterfly Garden trilogy with my patrons, and don't see myself going back into the series because it follows like different mysteries. Read Have a Soul, enjoyed it. Never read this, got it because I watched the movie and loved it, and it's been sitting on my shelf since then. Love the cover, love the concept and the romantic aspect in this book, but didn't enjoy the story overall. Read this also with my patrons, and this was a 3-star. I mean, not a bad rating, but next is just all YA right here. Really cool pink edition, UK edition of The Devouring Grey. Another UK edition of Second Chance Summer by Morgan Matson. An underrated little gem. This is a YA sci-fi horror in which a bunch of kids are being hunted by a freaking alien on the moon. So this was one of the first YA thrillers I've ever read, and this is one of the better ones as well. I read this such a long time ago, and I still to this day remember the mystery that took place. Since then, it's been done so many times, so I feel like if you were a well-read thriller reader and you go back to this one, you might not enjoy it. Don't even know a lot of these thriller books. Oh, I remember getting this one. I got this UK special edition because I hated how the US cover looked. Never picked this one up. Read this one, did not read this one, and I don't know, UK thrillers to me don't stand out to me as much in general. Ready Player One. I remember reading this and really and thoroughly enjoying it. I really liked the movie. Picked up another book from the same author and never read or finished it. Martian. Remember reading this while I was waiting in between classes in college, and I did enjoy it, but I don't ever see myself going back and rereading it. The Poppy War. I did not enjoy it as much as other people did. 2 out of 3. So far we have this one and Babel, and both books I don't know, thought it was okay. Queen of the Tearling trilogy. Have always kept this for so long and just never read them. Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I just eventually lost interest. A Discovery of Witches. I really did enjoy the show, but don't see myself ever going back and reading the book in general. All right, next up, I feel like it's just a mixed pile of like YA, fantasy, and graphic novels. For this one, I had 2 editions of Station 11. We had the UK and the US. I feel like I got spoiled online or something, and I was like, fuck. I did enjoy Emily's other book, which is the Sea Tranquility, and I'm keeping that one because I really love that one. Read the first one, never read the second. Perhaps one of the worst book covers I've ever owned. Heard a lot of good things about this author, but I have never read a single book from him, even though I own a few. The Nyx, and you can see here I got it for less than $5. Has been sitting on my shelf for the past, I want to say 3 or 4 years. Never picked it up, so don't know what this one's about. Got this one back when Joe Sugg was still active on YouTube. Oh my goodness, I remember almost every single book in this pile. We have my new adult pile right here. I actually did a reading vlog about this, and you know what, surprisingly, I really enjoyed it. 3 out of 5 stars. These were one of the first traditionally published books, indie books, that I went ahead and got because I loved the first book so much back when I read it. Oh my goodness, 10 Tiny Breaths. So I actually read this back in the day. I remember being so flustered reading this book on an e-reader, mind you, that I just remember like going out or walking out of the room when my mom came in, to the point where she got so fucking suspicious and she was like, "What are you reading?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm just reading," I think I had like Oliver Twist in the background or something. K. Tucker for me was an author I read a lot from. So He Will Be My Ruin. And this was like my first erotic thriller I ever read, and I hated it. I hated the fact that I was in it for the thriller aspect, but it turned out to have more sex than thrills. So another K. Tucker book that I got but never read. Beautiful Bastard by Christina Lauren. These 2 books from the same author, never read. This was another lifetime ago, but we have my entire book collection of Colleen Hoover. Hear me out. Listen. Shut up. Listen. I got her books back before TikTok even became a thing, okay? I remember seeing, I think it was Hopeless. I think it was on the Target's stand, back where they had all the books. And I was like, oh, what is this? Read the back, and I thought it was mildly interesting. And this was my first introduction to Colleen Hoover. To say that I sorta can get where people were coming from when TikTok first like came out and was like, "Oh my god, I love her books." I was like, you know, I gotta give credit where credit was due. Back in the day, when I read it, I thought it was so fucking good. I think I almost gave every single motherfucking book in this pile like 4 stars, 5 stars even. This was like a different Elias. I wasn't even Elias when I was reading these books, okay? Oh my god, I fucking hated Verity. Actually, Verity was the only one I think I gave 1 star back in the day, because this was another concept where it was more romance heavy than thriller heavy. I thought it was so fucking lame. Almost every girly who transitioned over from her books loved it, fucking loved it. They're like, "Oh my god, it's so juicy and so twisty." And I was like, this is literally shit. It was so fucking bad. I hated it. Easily one of the worst books I've ever read in my entire life. But hey, if you love it, that's like an issue right there. You need to work on it. But I'm just kidding. I remember being so excited, so excited when I heard that we were getting guy POV of the main love interest in this book. So, oh my god, it brings back so many memories. So many memories, you guys. I think I was super conflicted with this one. I gave it like maybe 2 or 3 stars. What a fucking time, you guys. That was a different era, different Elias. Almost done. We have like 3 more piles. Just a bunch of horror thriller books. Never read this one, but just got it mainly because of the cover. Read the first book, did not enjoy his writing style, and I read like another novella as well. Okay, so this author, Grady Hendrix. So I did not like the Final Girl support group, and I've had his 2 other books for so long on my shelves, and I don't see myself going back and reading these books anytime soon. So got it back in the day when I thought I would be reading it, but eventually lost interest. Next, we have just a bunch of ton of French books that I never read. I got almost every single one, right? And I know that they follow like a police detective sort of like unit in which they solve mysteries, but I've had these for years and I've never read a single one. So, okay, next up we have more thrillers. Read this one, did not enjoy it. This one is really interesting because look at this. Oh my god, read and hated Oh my god, I remember this one. I remember the twist in this one. And I thought the opposite when I watched the movie because I thought the twist should have been included in the movie. I actually read and really liked a lot of C.J. Tudor's books, but I don't see myself, going back and rereading them. But they're pretty solid. One of the few UK authors that I will be more inclined to read from. This one was really good. Just don't see myself going back to it. Never read this, but know the story because I watched the movie on Netflix. Harlan Coben's books. I, for some reason, never went and finished any of these books. So, oh my god. Oh my god, what is this? What? I was just shocked that a person's face was staring at me at the back of the book. Can you imagine reading this? Like on a train or something and being like, hi. That's really funny. Why do they have his author profile in the back of the book? Because usually they're like at the end, like of the death jacket or whatever, but that's so funny to me. That is so funny. I never noticed that. So the next pile is just like a bunch of conglomerate of random books. We have some thrillers, YA in here, Fault in Our Stars. All right, last and not least, we have another random pile. Here's a closer look in case you guys were wondering. Oh my god. Okay, so honestly, I feel really relieved, sort of. But now the next step is actually taking and dragging all of the books into my car so I can get rid of them. It's not going to be fun. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to all my patrons, and I will see you all soon with a new video.